Hello and welcome to another episode of Schnozcast. Corey, how are you, sir?
Not bad, sir. How about yourself?
Sorry, I did not mean to ask you as soon as you leaned forward away from the microphone.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
No, I'm stupendous.
Stupendous?
Todd, how are you, sir?
Corey, I am vexatious today. Vexatious. Bob Beebe, my man, how you doing?
I'm in need of a thesaurus, to be honest with you, boys. You're throwing some big words around. However, we are very, very excited today to be able to bring on with us Nina Innsted. Nina, how are you?
Gentlemen, I am doing well, thank you.
She didn't see Todd threw that vexatious up there, and she didn't bite. She didn't take that bait. She said, nope. I don't need to pull up my dictionary and try to best time.
I don't have a word of the day calendar.
I think she just
She got me,
Todd. Yeah.
She got me.
All right. So, Nina, we are so proud and happy to have you with us. Just for a quick bio for folks who may not be familiar, Nina Innsted is the host of the Already Gone podcast. She's a prolific podcaster. She's had a number of different podcasts covering slightly different ground, but her latest just hit, I think it's over 200 episodes at this point. I know there's a couple bonus episodes. I saw kind of 225, but I feel like the real count is definitely over 200, and that's a lot of episodes for a podcast. And take it from us, we know. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But what what we want to talk about with you today is all things true crime. This is a new topic for us, but we are all very, very interested in it. We've just never had the opportunity to do it, so we're happy to have you here. And so I got to start out with, right off the bat, what was it that, when were you first interested in true crime and talking about it on the internet?
Well, I've been interested in true crime since I was very small because the Oakland County child killer took a girl from my neighborhood. So when I was very, very small girl, there was a murder of a very small girl from Berkeley where I lived. And that case is unsolved. We've got 50 years of the Oakland County child killings coming up starting in February. So that's been my case, but I did not start talking with strangers about true crime until around 2016. When I was home, my daughter had some medical problems, so I was home with her, and I was listening to podcasts so I would not lose my mind. And I thought, I have a nice voice, I like to write, I love true crime. I could totally have a true crime podcast. And that was April of 2016.
Go ahead, Corey.
Oh, so when you first started out,
I love it.
Because I remember when we first started, and this was kind of Bob's vision. We started with basically it was just a laptop. We sat around and discussed the topics that we discuss, and then a couple weeks after that, it turned into buying a small mixer and audio interface. And then it's now become to the point where we have cameras and a actual nice mixer, rather than, not the one that we had before wasn't bad, but it was definitely, a cheaper mixer. So yeah, what'd you start out with? What was did you just sit in front of your computer and be like, I'm going to do this? Or what was the process for that?
So I thought about it for weeks, and I finally got up the courage to tell my husband that, hey, I think I want to start a podcast. And he's been through, hey, I want to start a community garden, which I did. And hey, I'm going to go to grad school, which I did. So he's been through a handful of these. But when I told him I wanted to start a podcast, he stopped by Best Buy on the way home from work and got me a Blue Yeti mic.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
What a good guy.
So he was very supportive. Yeah. Yeah. Good guy. I was recording at my kitchen table using Skull Candy headphones. Can I swear?
Of course.
100%.
Why the fuck not?
I did not know what the fuck I was doing, but I figured it out. And it took some time. I know my early episodes did not sound great. That's why my first 70 episodes are behind a paywall. Like the first year of Already Gone is out on Patreon where nobody will listen to it, which is fine. But
That's what-
I've learned, I've grown, I've gotten help. It's much better now.
Where has your help come from? Have you had other podcasters that you reached out to or talked to right when you kind of started to tell you,
Actually,
oh, hey, this is where I should go. This is what I should change.
I was listening to Generation Y podcast and I emailed them and I said, hey, I'm thinking of starting a true crime podcast. And Aaron responded right away and was like, you should do it. You should start a true crime podcast. Don't do a weekly true crime podcast. So what did I do? A weekly true crime podcast.
There you go.
Of course.
Yeah, I didn't listen, but I got good advice. And now I release twice a month on the 1st and the 15th. So I have learned, I have grown. And I have a lovely audio guy, Bill, that does my audio production. I send stuff to him. He makes it sound good. Much better.
We can learn from me.
What's Bill's number, Nina? And that's.
I will send you his number.
I think. I mean, not that Bob does a bad job, but if Bill's knocking it out of the park, maybe
got a reasonable rate.
Bill's.
Yeah,
he does. He'll give you the friends and family rate.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. We're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
So
thinking.
yeah,
to
that's how I
myself,
got started.
I was wondering, like, if there was like a superhero movie origin for your podcast, what would it have been? But I'm now struggling to figure out what superhero was it that ignored all of the people that told him not to do it, and he did it anyway. Because I feel like that's where that's how you got started, was just to go with your gut.
It is. Yeah.
Were there any other true crime podcasters out there that you listened to and you thought, okay, that's a great way to start, but I've got my own twist that I want to put on it for myself?
There were a lot of case of the week podcasts where people were covering a new case every week from all over the country. And, I'm born and raised in Metro Detroit. I have a deep love for the community. I'm super proud to be a Michigander. And I said, I'm going to do a Michigan-focused true crime podcast. And then I made my husband go on date nights with me where we would look at dump sites and people's houses and drive by places where crimes had occurred. So I've really enjoyed covering Michigan.
that's actually really cool. That's really, really cool. So, quick little story for you, Nina. We were actually out a couple weekends ago, looking to cover some of the historic old bars in Metro Detroit. And we had stopped by Nancy Whiskey's. We'd also stopped by Abix. And then the owner of Abix was nice enough to get us in over at the Carbon Athletics Club. And it's a members-only club, but since he called over there, they let us in. They were nice enough to show us around, give us all the backstory of the place. And there was a house next door that basically this family, they built the house and had generations upon generations of people in this house until about, I think he said like 4 or 5 years ago. And it's just become abandoned, and it should be already down by now. But I was fortunate enough to take a quick peek through the house before we left, and there was some really cool stuff left behind. So, yeah, seeing those sites and seeing the actual physical places of where this stuff happened, I think is really awesome. So the fact that you and your husband went out and did that, I applaud you. That's really, really, really cool.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
think
he's a good sport, thankfully.
I think that was a way of Corey to plug his video on YouTube about the walkthrough of the house.
It's not on the pod. It's not on the Schnozcast website on YouTube. I put it on my own. It's been doing all right. It's been getting some views, but yeah, no, that's really cool that you actually go in and check these places out. So, not to take away from your guys' questions real quick, but if there was a number one place you went to, that was like, let's say, maybe like the creepiest, or that like you really like felt something when you were there. Did you have a spot like that?
The place that I find the creepiest in the Detroit area is probably the Eloise Hospital on Michigan Avenue, which I have not toured, but I really want to tour. But I find that the whole sanitarium programming that they did there over the years, and that there's cemeteries on the grounds that are unmarked graves and things like that, like super creepy, and also super, like, I'm super drawn to it and engaged by it. So that I find very interesting. And prior to that, it was the old Clinton Valley Center up in Pontiac,
Yeah,
because there were actually a couple of murders there.
Yeah, and that was torn down. I think several years ago now, unfortunately.
30 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, but and I think we talked on the production meeting that my wife and I, we were able to go through a tour of Eloise before they turned it into haunted houses and this and that, whatever it is nowadays. We were one of the first groups that got to go through and see it as it sat from the day it closed down. So if you have a chance to go down there and check it out, it's awesome, but it's also just it's shocking, to be honest with you, to see some of the stuff that they have there. Some of the rooms, and just being in one of the patient rooms, even without the door closed, just standing in there, you really feel there's just a lot that goes through your mind. Yeah, if you get a chance to check that out, definitely do that.
I imagine the energy there is probably pretty spicy.
Yeah. You walk through there and
It's a good word.
Every corner you turn, you don't know what you're about to encounter.
So Nina, you said that
I've got it on the list. It's something I want to see.
There was a murder when you were a child of another child similar age to you in Berkeley that first captivated you. When you started doing the podcast, was that the first episode that you did? Was that story her story, or was it a different?
It was not.
Okay.
The first story that I covered, if memory serves, is the rest area murder of Jane Snow up in Gaylord. She was traveling from Grand Rapids to Escanaba with her 2 boys, and they stopped at this Loon Lake rest area. And she told the boys, you guys can play after you go to the bathroom. So we're all going to go in and use the bathroom, and then you can go play. So the boys went in and used the bathroom, and their mom went in. And the boys came out, and they're playing, and they're like, hey, where's mom? And their car was the only car in the parking lot at the time. So they went back into the rest area and knocked on the women's bathroom door, and there was no answer. And they didn't see their mom. So they pushed open the door to look for her and found her stabbed to death on the floor of the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And they ran to the phone at the rest area to call for help, and the phone was broken. So they ran to the road, but it was a Thursday night in May, and there was not a lot of traffic. So they had to wait and flag down a car and then ride up to Gaylord to get the police to come back and check on their murdered mother. So it's a great mystery.
Nightmare.
Yeah. I've covered her twice. I covered her, I think, as my first episode and then as my 200th episode.
Were there a lot of significant
And
updates
still
Unsolved.
between the two times that you covered? No. Ooh.
No, nothing. They don't know who did it. There was a man who was picked up hitchhiking going the other way on the freeway. But he was picked up by a state trooper who's like, my brother in Christ, you cannot hitchhike on I-75. I will take you to the next exit to get you off the freeway. Well, it turns out that guy had some blood stains on him. And with our technology in the 70s, they couldn't figure out if it was actually hers or his. But my understanding is they've since done appropriate testing and they have ruled him out. So there just happened to be a blood-stained guy. He said he'd cut himself shaving or in a bar fight, or he had some explanation for it. The guy was a Vietnam veteran. He had a minor criminal history, nothing violent. But her boys grew up without their mother because somebody snuck into a rest area and stabbed her to death. Super creepy.
Yeah, it's the thing about true crime for me is always the human connection where I can identify with, some part of it, whether it would be the thought of my kids losing one of their parents, or to just to be in that spot where, if I was the kid and lost my parent, just a horrific set of circumstances. But still really crazy that in all this time, nothing, no change, no updates, no leads. And I'm sure that happens a lot. But
I think that, we get lulled by the television shows that has them solving crimes every day.
They're like, boom.
and in real life, it's much, much different than the art that we watch.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. Although Jane's murder did lead to changes in the law, they've mandated that each rest area has to have a functioning telephone, and they upped the patrolling of rest areas by law enforcement because of Jane's murder and because of what her boys went through.
So, which is obviously great that they've done that and acted it into law. I will say, though, in doing some traveling, my wife and I went down to Florida this year, and every rest stop we stopped at in Florida had an armed security officer patrolling it 24/7. And
wow,
yeah, and here in Michigan, even though that law was enacted, which again is awesome, there's the ones that we've stopped at coming back, going to and from up north. There's not a 24/7 armed security officer walking around that premises. I mean, yeah, there's been some we stopped at that I'm like, oh, this is okay. But yeah, down south, they've actually taken that very seriously and have someone there 24/7 that's armed. So I think maybe that's where Michigan should maybe look into going. Especially, it's and this case was in what year?
Oh, I want to say 77, but don't hold me to it. I can't remember for sure.
So not very recent, obviously, but that's
No.
So Nina, how do you choose the cases that you cover on your podcast? Is there a wish list of cases that you really fascinate you, that you just have a long line of ones you want to get to, or there's some that jump out at you immediately?
So I'm a missing persons advocate, and I'm really drawn to missing persons cases. They're difficult to cover on the podcast because there's just so little out there when someone has disappeared, unless there's a lot of, unless there's a generous crime scene that they've disappeared from. There's generally not a lot to cover, but I'm very partial to missing persons cases, and I'm very partial to cold cases. The older and colder, the more I like them, because I want to see them solved. My pet peeve, if you will, is people getting away with shit, and that drives me nuts. So when I see an unsolved case, especially where we have a good suspect, I get mad and I want to solve it, and I want to do my part to help the family and help them get it solved and pushed to close.
So
Nina, do you ever cover any? I'm sorry. My question is going to be: do you ever have any of these where you actually, so you've taken these unsolved? Have you had any of these where you've disproven something that was solved? Have you chased it in that way where there's been a rush to judgment, and so someone's been arrested, but it doesn't feel like this is the person who did the crime? Have you encountered anything like that?
I've seen cases like that, but that's not where my expertise or interest lies, like in wrongful convictions. I tend to shy away from those because I feel that there's people that are better suited to work on them.
Gotcha.
So you've picked
if I want to cover things. Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry, Nina.
Oh, I want to cover things where I'm bringing something new and interesting to the table.
Gotcha.
So then I guess I'll poke. Has there been a case that's had lots of twists and turns that, again, that's still unsolved, but is one where you keep coming back? Is there one that stands out in that regard?
The disappearance of Kimberly King in 1979 from the city of Warren. She was supposed to be sleeping over at her girlfriend's house, but her girlfriend's parents said, no sleepover tonight. And Kim, instead of going back to her grandparents' house, just climbed out the window and ran off to Gratiot and was never seen again. Now, I covered her case on the podcast in 2017, worked with her sister to put together an episode, and somebody at the Warren police heard the episode and went, "Oh, we have a little more work to do on this case," even though it had been 30 years. And they dug out the case file and started working on it again. And her sister actually credits the podcast with getting the case reopened, reinvestigated, relooked at. And I'm extremely grateful to have been a small part of getting that work done, that work started again, and to get the disappearance looked at. They initially thought that Kim had been taken by the Oakland County child killer, who we talked about earlier. Then they thought that maybe Kim had been taken by a suspected serial killer by the name of Art Ream. But Art has died in prison, unfortunately, and taken his secrets with him. So Kim's case still remains open.
That's very close to where Danielle and I are at. Very, very close.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's.
I had one or two questions, and then I wanted to tee you up for some of the cases that you wanted to talk about in the show.
Okay.
The first one was, so you've picked the case that you want to. Hey boy.
He's a good boy. I'm going to shut my door.
He's a good boy.
No. It was.
Oh, see, this has just derailed the podcast because Corey now wants to know about your dog.
Yeah, say we got to talk about the dog for a second, Nina.
We could talk about the dog.
Okay. So Kona is a 62-pound, 13-year-old pit bull mix. We had him since 2014, and he's a good boy.
Kona's a great dog name. I'm actually kind of jealous.
Yeah. We're all dog people. We all have at least one to two dogs. Bob has a big.
He takes up the space of two dogs, but he's just the single dog.
A very big fluffy husky. My wife and I have a mutt. He's a bit of German Shepherd, Labrador. He was a rescue, and then we have a pit bull rescue. And Todd, you have. I'm going to let you go with it because I
Cane Corso.
Cane Corso Mastiffs.
Yeah, Cane Corso.
Wow.
Yeah, the head's the size of a car battery.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We actually had Thanksgiving dinner with our neighbors. They have a Boerboel. He makes Bo look like a French poodle.
Oh wow!
Oh my god!
So they have
His head's the size of a lion.
All right, so back to my question. So you've picked the case. What's your research process that you have sort of perfected over the years and the episodes that you've done for working on the case and bringing it to broadcast form?
Well, first thing I do is make sure there's enough information out there about the case if it's unsolved. Because if it's an unsolved case with very little news coverage, you're not going to be able to do an episode because the police are not going to give you anything. They're going to, if you do a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request, they're going to say, this is an open investigation. We're not giving you anything. So it's easier to cover resolved cases, but I find covering unsolved cases more satisfying. I like to work with the family and friends and loved ones of we're having a beer. I approve. That's
Sorry.
okay. I like to work with family.
Yeah.
And friends of loved ones to put together an episode. That's my favorite because then I know that I'm getting the real story and getting the good information out and doing it with their blessing, which is important.
Oh, definitely.
So, yeah, it's a lot of research, a lot of digging, a lot of organizing. I'm fortunate I have a researcher that I work with that does some writing for me, and she's wonderful. So I'm very grateful to her, but I'll pull up cases and be like, I'd really like to cover this one, but I'm not sure how much is out there. So we have to see, can we get court records? What information is out there publicly that can help us put together an episode about this case? And is it, there's some cases that I won't cover. I live in Farmington Hills, and there was a familicide in Farmington Hills. A son came home and murdered his dad and tried to murder his mother and brothers. And I'm not going to cover it it's too close to home, and I know too many people that know the family, and it's just not, there's no mystery there. There's nothing to, there's nothing really to unpack. It was just a tragedy. So really working with the families and making sure there's enough information available publicly are the two big things that I look for.
I think the end for me was the first episode of yours that I listened to was obviously the Eddie Hollman murder, because
Yeah.
he went to Dearborn High, and I knew Eddie had played football with him, and the fact that he was, a subject that you covered on your show, I'm like, well, this is where I start. This is the gateway drug for me to get into the Already Gone podcast. But I remember listening to that show and thinking that you had definitely settled on or maybe come to adopt a structure for the show to keep listeners engaged, in which you kind of alternated talking about the case and then the interview that you did with Eddie's mom. That was, I don't know how many hours you talked to her, but I was really kind of impressed, and it kept me engaged personally to hear you switch between, your narration and then the interview and then back and forth as you went through the episode. So was that a structure that it took you a little while to settle on?
Yes, and I love being able to do that. Gina was a wonderful interview. She's still around. I'm actually, I don't know if you noticed, I was kind of looking over here. I have a bookshelf, and Gina gave me a Christmas ornament from when Eddie was a kid.
Wow.
She wanted me to have a memento, and I was looking to see if I had the Christmas ornament on this bookshelf. I think it's still in a box. I haven't completely unpacked my office since we moved in a couple months ago, but I wanted to show you the ornament that she gave me. Do you want to talk about Eddie's case a little bit?
I would love to.
I'm happy to.
But also,
Yeah,
but
before
first,
we get into
before
that.
we do that, I
Okay.
think a happy birthday to you is in order, because I think it was just recently your birthday. So happy
It
birthday.
was. Thank you.
And
Happy
Thank you
birthday.
very much.
in honor of your birthday, I feel like we need to do a shot in your honor.
Okay.
So
You don't have to do a shot, Nina. If you just want to do a sip of your drink, we can cheers to that.
I'm going to have some of my drink. Okay.
right.
Cheers.
cheers, happy birthday.
Todd's
I'm
got
working
Todd?
on it.
Here he
So
comes. Here he
hold on.
comes.
He's working on
Yeah,
it.
we're good. Yep.
No.
I'm working on it. I'm working on
Oh,
it.
he opened it. Hold
I
on.
know.
I don't
Sorry.
hear any Legos. There they are.
Nina,
I'm ready.
We refer to that as the cooler full of Legos anytime you hear that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Cheers.
Exactly.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salute.
Sanche.
That's the good stuff.
I feel better already. I had a lovely old fashioned after dinner, so I am
Ooh,
well
Moved up and
set.
ready to go.
that's some serious
Perfect.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
knew what she's getting into.
Clearly, I
did.
appreciate it.
Yeah. I braced myself. Yeah.
All right. So Eddie Hollman, I want to say, was it 1993?
I believe so. Eddie was the youngest of 4 children. He had 3 older siblings, 2 brothers and a sister. They were from his mother's first marriage. And Eddie was the baby of the family. He was also his father Ted's only child. After Eddie finished high school, he went to, I believe, the University of Michigan, Dearborn. But that wasn't what he wanted to do. Eddie wanted to be a pilot. So Eddie and his girlfriend, Mara, who had been living with him for a while, his parents let her move in, they moved out to Tulsa, Oklahoma, so that Eddie could attend flight school. And as Eddie was going to flight school, he and Mara got more serious. They got engaged, but their relationship would not last. And when Eddie finished flight school and moved back to Michigan, he moved home with his parents, and Mara moved in with some friends. And that relationship was over. They were still friendly, but they were not linked romantically anymore. The first weekend of May, I believe it was 1992, Eddie was home and his friends were up at Central Michigan University. It was almost the end of the term, and they invited Eddie to come up for the weekend, come have a good time at the campus. And Eddie took his Mustang up there and he was like, yep, I'm going to Mount Pleasant. I'm going to have fun. Hung out. They had a good time. But on Saturday, he's like, you know what, guys? I'm not going to stay the whole weekend. I'm going back home. And his friends at Central tried to convince him to stay, but he was like, no, I've got another party in Dearborn. I'm going to go back home. So he drove home. He saw his parents very briefly on Saturday afternoon. He went to a friend's band practice. He went back home again, but missed his parents. And then he went out for the evening. He went to another party. I know it will scandalize you to know that there may have been marijuana smoked at this party.
You don't say.
I don't believe it.
Not weed. Not
Yeah,
weed.
the devil's lettuce.
Come on now.
I know. But we are also all old enough to know that in 1993, 92, you're going to get in a lot of trouble if you're caught with drugs, even marijuana.
Not if you're not black.
Hey,
Okay,
Todd.
that's fair. But that's going to come up later because Eddie went to this party. He got a little drunk. He did something he shouldn't have done. He drove home in his Mustang back to the parents' house. His parents heard him come in, and they aren't in agreement on when he came in. Mom thinks he came in around 1 a.m. Dad thinks he came in around 4 a.m. What his parents do agree on is that the house phone rang once at about 4 o'clock in the morning. Phone records will later show that Eddie's former fiancée, Mara, is the person who called him, and they had a conversation. Mara would describe that conversation as calm and normal. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Now, the Hollmans, Gina and Ted, had a regular routine on Sundays. They would get up early and they would go to Sacred Heart Church for Mass, the 8 a.m. Mass on Sundays. So his dad, Ted, got up just before 6 a.m., was doing stuff around the house, went and got his wife. They went to Mass. They came back around 9:30. Ted went out again to go to the hardware store. It was the spring cleanup weekend for their subdivision, and Gina was president of the subdivision association, so they had to be out there doing work stuff. Ted's at the hardware store. Gina decides to go downstairs where Eddie was sleeping to get some stuff to make signs. And she goes downstairs and she looks at Eddie, who is laying on the floor. And Eddie is laying with his head turned to one side, facing the television. He's on the floor and he doesn't look right. And she looks at him closely and realizes that he's blue. And like any mother would, she starts screaming and runs upstairs out the door to a neighbor's house to call 911. Police and fire respond with an ambulance. They don't like what they see when they get downstairs. So instead of flipping Eddie over to work on him, they just put a stethoscope on his back and realize that no, there's no breath sounds, there's no heart sounds. Eddie is deceased. The Dearborn Heights police send 2 detectives. Jim Islook was one of them, and I'm not going to be able to come up with the other guy's name, but there were 2 detectives that came to the house, and they're like, this could have been a suspicious death. But they flip Eddie over and realize there's a pair of sweatpants, like wind pants, tied tightly around his neck. He also has a bruise on his face and an abrasion to the back of his head. Now, they're still not sure if this is a suicide or homicide. So they do something unusual. They call the Wayne County coroner out to the house. Coroner comes out, looks at Eddie, looks around the room, realizes there's no place in the room that he could have hung himself using those pants. Someone knotted the pants around his neck. Someone struck him in the face and in the back of the head. This is a homicide. 2 things to keep in mind. When Gina discovered Eddie's body, Ted was at the hardware store. And my heart absolutely breaks for Ted because he's got about 20 minutes of good life left.
Yeah.
Before he finds out that his only child is dead. And that always bothered me about this case, is I can just see Ted at the hardware store It's Sunday morning. He's in a good mood. It's all going to go to hell shortly. There was something else interesting that happened that morning. Somebody made a phone call around 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock, and said, "Hey, did you hear that Eddie Hollman died?" Now,
So, repeat that again. Who? Someone called who?
there was a phone call made between two friends, people that knew Eddie, saying, "Hey, did you know Eddie Hollman died?" How did they know?
Before anyone
How
knew.
did they know that he knew?
This is before
Or how
the
did they know
police
he
had-
was dead?
Before the police had
Yes.
pronounced him dead?
This happened about the time that first responders were at the house. So between 9:30 and 10, because you figure Ted and Gina go to mass. Mass is about 45 minutes. They get back around 9. Ted leaves for the store. Gina goes downstairs about 9:30 and finds Eddie on the floor. So sometime between 9:30 and 10, maybe 10:15, someone calls friend A, calls friend B, and says, "Hey, did you hear Eddie Hollman died?" My big question when I covered this is, why isn't that person being grilled? Especially, I'm not going to say who the person was, but they are a widower with school-aged children. So I'm thinking that if my wife has died and I'm a single parent to 2 kids and the police come asking me how I knew that Eddie Hollman was dead, I would be singing a song.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they ever talked to him again. And when police went and interviewed all the people that Eddie was partying with that weekend, because remember, he was up at Central, then he was at the party where they may have been smoking the devil's lettuce. Almost all of those people lawyered up because they did not want to admit that they were high.
Yeah, because it was 93.
So it really caused a problem. Yep, it caused a problem with the investigation. There's also no social media and really no cell phones.
Wow. Again, it's where life doesn't imitate art, isn't it? Everybody's like, yeah, I'm not going to put myself out there to get in trouble.
Well, these are
than minor.
Yeah, these are 21, 22-year-old kids. You know, their parents were like, "You're getting a lawyer."
Right.
So Eddie was buried and his case went cold, and his mom went to the VDOC Society and had them look at the case. She hired a private investigator to look at the case. When I covered the case a couple of years ago, the Dearborn Heights police told me we don't have any unsolved murders. Eddie's death was undetermined.
So they're drawing a line between undetermined and unsolved. Those are two different things.
They are two completely different things. But in the years since I've covered it, Dearborn Heights has gotten a new police chief, and guess what? They miraculously have one unsolved homicide, and it's Eddie Hollman.
Good for that chief. I mean,
yeah. And when I did a FOIA on Eddie's case, I went into the Dearborn Heights Police Department myself to pick up the paperwork, and the guy who was working in records was a retired detective. He had basically stepped down to work in records and was like, "I'm so glad someone is looking at this," was what he said to me.
wow.
I'm glad they are, but I have another clarifying question.
Sure.
Though. So where did Eddie die in his parents' basement?
Yep.
But while they were at church?
Yep. Someone came into the house while they were at church. So someone had to know their schedule. And Ted insists that he locked the door behind him when he left. So not only did the person have to know the Hollman's regular routine of 8 a.m. mass on Sundays, they had to be able to get into the house.
But is it possible that Eddie could let them
quickly
in?
subdue and strangle a former football player?
So my thinking is that Eddie was drunk. He was drunk when they tested him. He had no drugs in his system, but he was still legally drunk when his body was like his blood alcohol showed that he was drunk when he was autopsied. I think someone came downstairs and hit him, and he rolled off the couch onto the floor, and they hit him again. And then they grabbed, because it's a, y'all are from Michigan. The basement is partially finished with some carpeting, and there's a couch and maybe a TV and a lamp and a stereo. That's where Eddie would go after he'd been drinking, was down into the basement. And that's where he was sleeping that night. So I think somebody came in and they hit him in the back of the head while he was sleeping, or hit him on the face when he was sleeping. He rolled onto the floor, got hit on the back of the head. And then, of course, because it's that partially finished basement, they grabbed a piece of laundry, wrapped it around his neck, and strangled him.
Who was Mara dating? That's who did it.
That's a good question, isn't it?
Todd casting aspersions whenever possible.
I'm just saying, it feels like if somebody went in there and did that, crime of just rage, anger, football player got beat down as well. And then the quick call from the ex-girlfriend, got to be her, somebody, a love interest or some family member on her side, potentially.
Well, I will say that no one has ever been arrested, charged, or named as a suspect in this case. That's our disclaimer.
Yeah.
The fact that
Put me
you
on
interviewed Eddie's mom, so this brings up another question. So I loved that part of it because I got to hear from, I didn't know Eddie well enough to know his mom or have ever met his mother, but it added a legitimacy, an air of a level of legitimacy to your research to go right to the source, which I know sometimes you can't, it's not possible to do. But when you do that, how do you approach, how have you learned to approach telling these stories in a way that is both informative and respectful to the victims or their families, especially when you're interviewing them for the show? That would be, in my mind, that's kind of a tough, it would be a tough thing to have to consider when I'm then going to assemble that into a podcast episode.
So I was actually very worried about that. My background, I was a school teacher. I was in healthcare marketing. And many, many, many years ago, I was the admissions coordinator for a psychiatric unit. I do not have a background in talking nice to people.
What grade did you teach?
I just middle school.
Yep. Well, okay. There you have it.
That tracks.
Sometimes you got to drop the hammer on those kids.
Yep. So I actually went through a program to become a credentialed victims advocate because I wanted to be as appropriately supportive as possible to families and also be able to support them in their journey. God, this sounds so hammy, but in their journey toward justice. I want to be able to be a support to them and not just be this fly-by-night podcaster who's like, I'll tell your story.
But no, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, how do you, in your role, how do you give yourself license to present yourself as the person who should be doing that? And I think, taking that course, that class was, I didn't even know it existed, but that's exactly what I would want to hear if I was Eddie's mom or anyone else that's been involved in, in a criminal act that affected my family, and was being interviewed by someone that they were going to take my feelings and the impact that the event had on me personally and my life into account and treat it with some measure of respect and dignity. And that's a sense that I got when I listened to that episode. So I think it's great. I didn't know that such a course existed.
Yeah, I sought it out at the suggestion of a friend. I decided that I wanted to become a credentialed victims advocate. And when I approach a family, I say, look, here's a couple episodes where I worked with families that you can listen to. Here's a couple families that you can, that'll vouch for me that I'm going to do a nice job with your loved one's story. That I'm going to be respectful and responsible and responsive to, I'm not going to solve the case. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to encourage people that have information to come forward and do the right thing.
And I was actually able to look up a Press and Guide article that you are mentioned in.
Yep.
About covering this, and one of the quotes that they gave were, "People obviously know what happened to Eddie, and I just want them to feel a little nervous." Instead said, "This looks really solvable if people want to come forward." Yeah. And that's something like, yeah, to put that out there, because again, too, like, I know so much time can go by, but if this was me and I was in one of those people's shoes of like, okay, like, yeah, it's been so far in the past, I think I'm good. But if someone's talking about it again, like, yeah, that really makes people start thinking like, holy crap, and looking over their shoulder.
You could swear on this show, Corey.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, holy shit. That someone could be kicking down my door any day, knowing that I had something to do with this.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, even though that time has gone by, I don't know how anyone could ever forget about that action and be like, okay, I'm good, I'm done with this. Like it's taken care of, because it's definitely not taken care of. It can always be reopened and people can start looking into it again. And I think that's great that you've done that.
There's two things that I try and focus on old cases like this. Eddie's case did not have much of a footprint, meaning if you Googled it, you would get like his family's parents of murdered children post, but that was it. And that's really important in these older cases, that if somebody goes, you know what, my ex-boyfriend told me a story about this guy that was murdered, that he knew this and that and the other thing, but I can't remember. I want to Google it. I want them to be able to Google it. I want them to be able to find the case. And that was the case with Eddie's. And when I covered Eddie's case, I actually joined the Dearborn, I forget which high school he went to, but I joined their alumni group. And I was like, hey, I'm doing an episode about Eddie. Does anybody want to talk to me? And there were a handful of people that stepped forward. And the girl that Eddie was seeing when he was murdered, she and I think, are still Facebook friends.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Huh.
Nice.
That's either just a very bold move, or she honestly didn't have anything to do with it.
No, the girl he was dating, not the ex-girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Not
Yeah.
Mary. Yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, if it was the ex-girlfriend, then yeah. Well, I'm like, wow, that's.
But you know what? That's it.
She wants to stay close.
Yeah.
If you're doing a true crime podcast, then I think it's just human nature. Like, you're going to draw your own conclusions and then try to put them aside while you do an impartial podcast episode, which can't be super easy to do.
You know, the facts in the case are the facts in the case. Facts don't have a bias. They just are what they are. And I try and present the facts. And I love tea. I love the little gossipy, whispery, like, I love that stuff. But there's not always room for it when I'm covering something on the podcast. But like, I covered Lori Dan, who was a school shooter back in the 80s. And when I was working on her case, I mentioned it to a friend of mine who lives in the Chicago area, which is where Lori Dan was from. And she went, my mom grew up with Lori Dan and knew her first husband, and they all went to the same temple. I gotta give you this. So I had all of this tea on Lori Dan, but it was a solved case. And I felt like I could share those little bits of information that I got from people who knew Lori before she went completely mad and murdered people. So there's that balance you have to strike. I don't think I could have done that with Eddie's case, because we're still trying to solve a murder.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's and the crazy part being is too, as old as Bob is, clearly he knew Eddie Hollman.
Todd's the oldest one, officially the oldest one on the show. Officially. It's been established.
Okay, but
You can say I'm old.
It feels
but
odd
not
that
the
every
oldest
Bob's,
one on
Bob's
the show.
first reaction, Corey, is to push me out into the street. when I had
Nina, if
nothing
I
to do
could
with it.
mute Todd without muting you, I would, but I can't. So,
I can mute Todd without.
okay, yeah, if you could just do that, that'd be great.
So, but no, as old as
Wow.
Bob is,
Wow.
and Todd, I'm with you, buddy. This had nothing to do with you because you didn't go to high school with him. So yeah, the fact that you're still around and able to talk and you're not in a home, there's clearly some other people that are the same age that are able to still talk about
What
this.
in the actual fuck are you talking about?
Are you upset? Are you upset?
No, I'm legitimately concerned for your mental well-being. That you would.
No.
That's the road you would go down.
Nina, see, this is where we run into a problem because he's kind of been losing it over the past couple
Back
years.
to the interview. Nina, when you do an episode of the
One
show,
shot.
when you do the episode of the show, is it what's the one takeaway that you want people to walk away from the episode with? Is it the integrity of the research and the impartiality of the research that you what's the one thing that you hope people would take away from an episode of the Already Gone podcast?
So, did you ever watch Knight Rider?
Indeed.
With Kit?
Okay.
Yes, of
One
course.
man
Russell
can
Hoff.
make a difference. Oh yeah, Kit. Yeah, the Hoff. Yeah. No, no, seriously. It's that one person can make a difference in a case. It's not just a Knight Rider thing. It's true.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I feel that's very,
You
very,
bring
very
back
true.
focus on things that people have kind of we've set it down. And again, it's the TV doesn't give us the true representation of how many people are waiting for justice and for cases to be solved for them. So I think it's a great service that you provide.
Well, it is one person in most cases. One person has information that would lead to an arrest, and if we can get the information, the request in front of that one person, maybe they'll decide it's time to do the right thing. Because in Eddie's case, the person that made that phone call saying that Eddie was dead before anybody knew he was dead, if that one person would do the right thing instead of plead the fifth, Gina could die a happy woman.
And yeah, kind of going back to what I was already talking about, like that person that made that phone call clearly knew something was already up before it was released to the general public. And
Yes.
I could not imagine myself going all these years and having that weighing on me, knowing that whatever occurred prior to that and that statement being made, you knew someone got in contact with him, and I was like, oh yeah, I just killed Eddie, or I know who killed Eddie, and he's gone. And having that information on my shoulders, I don't know if I would have made it that far in life without having to say something, because that's an insane amount of pressure to have on you.
Yeah. I agree. One person doing the right thing makes the difference in all of these cases. Because it's extremely rare that something like this happens and people don't know.
I think that's why a lot of these cases just languish, and then as people get older, I mean, you could look at Todd, the oldest member of the podcast. When he got to a certain age, he just decided that he's like, listen, life is too short. I've understood the passage of time and my role in it and the age, and I don't have that many years left to go. And when you're a child, you did childish things, and when you're an adult, you put away those childish things. And that's why a lot of crimes like this go unsolved until some of the people who have that information get to be of an age where they're like, listen, I need to unburden myself in the eyes of God and maybe have a chance to get into heaven when I die in the next 5 years, just like Todd would. Anyway, go ahead.
Wow. So Todd, apparently you only have 5 years left, buddy.
If that, really.
I guess. I'd have dimed all you guys out long ago. I'm trying to look back to see if Bob was dealing weed back in those days. So,
dealing? No, never dealing. But Corey, you probably noticed that behind you, I have not yet, even though Thanksgiving is past us now, I have not yet put up my Christmas tree. But it is the Christmas shopping season. And, once upon a time in Michigan, the place where you would go to shop would be Gibraltar Trade Center. ...
Yes.
Lead in for story.
So the Gibraltar Trade Center got its start in the town of Gibraltar, which is way downriver, but it eventually moved into the former showroom of Joshua Doore. Now, if you don't remember Joshua Doore, because we're of a certain age and it might be a little bit before our time, I'm going to tell you the story of 34-year-old Harvey Leach. And in 1971, Harvey Leach brought a little business called Robinson Furniture. And Leach changed the name of the business from Robinson Furniture to Joshua Doore. And both the name and the company took off. Everyone was shopping at Joshua Doore. They had a modern and stylish inventory, and they offered a less formal approach to obtaining furniture. If you had a van or a pickup or a sturdy rope and some muscle, you could carry home your couch, coffee table, or mattress same day. No more waiting for trucks. It was revolutionary. And Joshua Doore operated out of a huge building just off I-75 in Taylor. And this was both a warehouse and a showroom. The location made it easily accessible to people from all over Metro Detroit and even Ohio. Now, Leach was handsome and he was well off, and the ladies liked him. He was a divorced, yeah. He was a divorced dad with 2 kids, but he was engaged to be married. He wanted to expand the chain. He had stores in Taylor, Flint, and Grand Rapids. But the size of the loan that he wanted to get was too big for your average bank. They were a little hesitant to loan him more money. So he did what people did in the 70s. He went to the mob. And he talked to Leonard Schultz, who was known around town as Left Hand Lenny, for assistance in procuring a loan from alternate sources. So Leach, as I mentioned, was this good-looking guy who had a lot of money, and he decided it was a good idea to have a fling with the girlfriend of an imprisoned mobster. I don't know if it was Vito Jack's girlfriend or Tony Jack's girlfriend, but Leach was using mattresses where he shouldn't be. And yeah, the morning of March 16th, 1974, Leach is supposed to be getting married that day, but he does not show up to his wedding. He also had a meeting. He had a meeting on the 16th with Left Hand Lenny and Tony Giacalone and the top management from Joshua Doore. The meeting did not go well, not even a little bit. He did not show up for his wedding the next day because he was in the trunk of Lincoln, parked outside of an office building at 13 Mile and Southfield Road, which they had a slogan, which you might remember from Robinson Furniture, which is, "You've got an uncle in the furniture business."
Indeed.
Right? Well, the morning show DJs had a feast because they were singing, "You've got an uncle in the trunk of a Lincoln." Joshua Doore, Joshua Doore.
Sorry.
So
This
he
seems a
had
grim
been
topic, and I'm
brutally-
sorry to laugh, but
I know, but it's just so good. The morning show stuff is hilarious. And it gets better because the people that he met with and the Joshua Doore board that he met with the day before he vanished, they converted the Joshua Doore stores back to Robinson Furniture. And they started running ads that said, "You've got an uncle in the furniture business." Not anymore.
Ooh.
Because
That's
he
crazy.
Ooh.
He was in the trunk of a Lincoln. Yes. So he had been brutally beaten before being stuffed in the trunk of his car. They gave the cause of death as a neck wound. As I said earlier, I like tea, and the tea that I heard on this case is that there was an enforcer named Linoleum Knife Lenny. No, Linoleum Knife Larry. Linoleum Knife Larry
That's a long
may have been involved.
title. That's a long title.
I know.
Hey, it's linoleum. Yeah. Yeah. So Southfield police turned the case over to the FBI and they brought everybody in for questioning. It was like that scene toward the end of Goodfellas where everybody's getting rounded up. They brought in
Yep.
everybody. And you know what? Nobody talked.
They all did the I'm Spartacus.
Yep. So the murder was described as a gangland slang, probably because it was a gangland slang. In December of 1974, one of the new owners of Joshua Doore, attorney Kenneth G. Bernard, was brought up on charges related to his dealings with the Giacalone family back in 1972. New York Life, who held insurance policies on Leach to the tune of $240,000 in 1970s money, they did not want to pay. They balked, even though the money was going to his kids. They were like, I don't think so. The problem is that when Harvey Leach died, he was a millionaire, but on paper. He had spread himself so thin with his furniture empire that he was technically broke and left the kids destitute. The popular furniture chain did not survive his murder, and it reverted back to being Robinson Furniture. And I know we all remember the Uncle Robinson ads. They just reused those. And in 1980, the flagship Joshua Doore store and warehouse off I-75 in Taylor became Gibraltar Trade Center. They moved from the city of Gibraltar into the Taylor location and then opened a second location in Mount Clemens. Sadly, the Taylor location has been leveled, and bringing it all back around, the Mount Clemens location is now a giant grow facility for the devil's lettuce.
Wow.
It all comes back to the devil's lettuce.
The Gibraltar Trade Center was my home as a child. I bought my first stereo there. Oh my goodness, dude. I could walk to the Gibraltar Trade Center from our house.
Wow.
I was in there all the time. I bought my first Alpine speakers for my 1971 Mercury Montego.
Which we've talked about on the past.
That's where I learned to haggle.
Vehicle. It's like the.
That's the Gibraltar Trade Center is where I learned to haggle like a man, like a pro.
Mm-hmm.
Never pay
These
full
are
price.
important things.
Yeah.
Whole generation is missing out on the Gibraltar Trade Center.
Absolutely. I didn't realize it was leveled. I'm like, I figured I could still go back and get some speakers.
No.
Good luck, buddy. So yeah, and Nina, as you said, yeah, the one out in Mount Clemens, which is right down 94 from Danielle and I, has been turned into an insane dispensary. Pleasantries. Yeah. But what I will say, the one thing that's really cool that they did not knock down the old Gibraltar Trade Center trade ban.
Yes.
They actually had
the iconic sign.
Yes, they actually had it repainted and refurbished, and they used that.
Is he carrying
as
a
sign.
cane or a giant pipe?
He has the cane.
Oh,
so
okay.
But it was the cane for a little while, even after the actual Gibraltar Trade Center closed out there. So Gibraltar Trade Center had clearly changed it themselves to the cane. Sometime because I know the pipe was the original look, but they have changed.
I was making a devil's lettuce joke.
Exactly.
Oh,
I got it. I was following along. I thought Corey was going to get there.
Did he not have a pipe originally? I thought he did.
Who are you asking?
I don't know.
Nina?
Everyone.
Oh, everyone?
Yeah.
I know. Thanks, Corey.
Sorry, Nina. That went over my head. If
Clearly, Corey's had the devil's
pipe.
lettuce tonight.
Yeah, well, you never know.
Devil's lettuce.
Not on camera, sir. Not on camera.
I'm so happy that you picked up on the breadcrumbs that I was laying out for that story, because it was absolutely worth it, and I loved it. But
good.
what we talked about on the production meeting was, and I feel like if we can keep you for just a little longer, I know we're a little bit over the hour that we talked about, but I'd like to end. I think initially we were talking about, this show's about a lot of yucks and three jackasses having drinks and talking about whatever, but we're talking about a very serious topic here. It's a little bit of can be a grim subject, very, very serious. And
Yes.
we were talking about maybe trying to end on a lighter note. I think that I'm not sure we need to do that. I think that Nita's been an absolutely lovely guest, and we've had a couple of laughs even while we were talking about some serious things. However, I still would like to do it.
So hang on before we get to this.
Yeah.
So going back to with all the mafia stuff and Lego coolers.
God, stop. Just give us a heads up that you're getting a drink.
Is there any? Have you ever thought about or are thinking about covering Jimmy Hoffa?
No.
No.
No. I mean, so funny story. My father-in-law, so my husband's father was the first FBI agent on scene at Hoffa's disappearance.
What?
Okay. Yeah. Forget these questions,
Yeah.
buddy.
So you're connected to this. You're like,
Well,
you're
no,
just a
she
couple
just said
degrees
she didn't
away.
want, she's
Yeah.
not going to cover it, so it's not like she's going to now dive
I'm
into
not-
it just because you asked her to.
Well, I want to hear what she has to say.
Yeah, okay.
Wait, she didn't say no yet. Hold on a second, Bob.
All right, okay, that's fair. Nina, you have the floor.
I'm not opposed to covering it, but like I said earlier, what on earth could I bring? If my father-in-law was still around and I could interview him about it because he had a lovely FBI career, would love to talk, have the ability to talk with him about it. Unfortunately, he has passed. There's nothing that I'm bringing to the table in the Jimmy Hoffa discussion.
My wife claims she's related to him, and her mom's still alive, still in Michigan.
Oh,
Again, if I could mute
Yeah.
Todd and not mute Nina, I would, but I can't.
So
I mean, this feels like one that we should hop right on, Nina.
Hold on, let's not cheapen what Nina does in the podcast world to something that you could just do at the drop of a hat because Mary's cousin knew somebody who knew Jimmy Hoffa.
well, let me ask you this. One at a time, tell me what you think happened to Hoffa. What's your theory? Everybody has a theory. So what's your theory?
He's under
Now,
the old Buffalo Bills stadium.
I was going to say, is the
He got
theory
snatched up
where
by the
he's
mob,
buried or how
and he
he
got
was
murdered,
killed?
and they buried him somewhere.
Is the question where
Dealer's
do you
choice.
think he was buried or how do we think he was killed?
Where do you think he ended up? And if you want to put in how you think he was killed, you're welcome to include that.
Okay, Todd, you jumped in here. You're thinking Bills Stadium.
Well, I think he got killed. I think he got killed somewhere near the Red Fox on Telegraph Road there, and I think he ended up in the back of a trunk. But I think he was already dead. I don't know if he got shot or stabbed or whatever. But he is 100% mafia, and they got a really, really good professional who's gotten more bodies on him than you could count. So whoever was the best at their gig at the time likely did it. And then I think the rumors are that they moved him to out of state because they were able to bury him underneath the stadium foundation that was going in. So I think something like that happened.
Sorry.
go ahead, buddy.
I don't. Everybody says like, oh, he's buried here, or he's buried there, or he's under this monument, or he's like under the Statue of Liberty, or something where like you're never gonna be able to dig him up because of what's on top of him. But I think because of the public figure that he was, and that the mob probably knew that there was going to be an intense amount of interest in trying to figure out what happened to him. I think they used lime and every other tool at their disposal to make him literally disappear. I don't think he's buried anywhere.
Liquefied.
I think he's gone.
So I will agree
Or
with that as
already
well.
gone.
Ooh, I like that. Nice plug.
Well done, man. Well done.
I'm surprised Todd didn't tell me to hit the button. The button that says, oh, well, good plug for your podcast. As if I had one. Anyway, go ahead.
Hit the button.
Shut up.
Hit the button.
I do like the mob idea because clearly that was a connection to what he did in life.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like though that the government was actually the biggest player in his disappearance. That he stopped doing what he was supposed to be doing for the government, and they made him disappear. Where that is, I mean, yeah, there's so many different theories, but I also feel like there's no body to ever be found. He's basically minced meat at some point, and will never ever be discovered.
I just keep on tripping over the fact that I don't feel like if the government was involved that anyone could keep a secret. The government's never been able to keep a secret on anything.
What?
and this is like a mob thing. Like with the mob can keep a secret way
Wait a
better
minute,
than the government
Bob.
can.
But hang on though. How many things are correlated between the mob and the government? There's a whole lot of them.
There's a lot, but who did the work? Did the government tell the mob to get it done? Or
That could be
because you're saying in this case the government did it.
Well, that could, but again, the government. I'm saying the government's what initiated it.
If the government initiated and said, "Hey, who was if it wasn't Hoffa, like who would he been? Which mob boss would they be telling to get it done?"
That I don't know. So Nino, now that we put our we put our theories out there.
Yep.
What? So
She's gonna tell us we're all full of shit.
I mean, as she should.
That's what I would do.
Well,
What's your insight, Nina?
So my theory is that, and I got this from a friend of mine who was at a bar the night that Jimmy Hoffa disappeared, and she told me that a man in a very somber looking suit came in to the bar and was doing shots and was very upset. And she was a little tipsy and sort of wandered down and was like, "Why are you so sad?" And he said, "I just cremated Jimmy Hoffa." And she went, "What?" And he went, "Yes, they were going to sprinkle him on L. Brooks Patterson's lawn." And I love that theory that he was cremated and put on the prosecutor's lawn. But my father-in-law sort of put the kibosh on that. And he said that, and of course, this is an unofficial FBI accounting of it, that Jimmy Hoffa was murdered, littered into a barrel, flown over the Everglades. Barrel was thrown out of out of the plane into the Everglades. No more Jimmy.
I can see that.
Gator bait.
Gator bait.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting.
But I do think the one thing we all agree on is that there's nothing left to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there'll ever be a single piece of him ever.
Except for the gator who ate Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah, we could have Jimmy Hoffa gator shoes.
How long do gators live, Todd? As an old guy, you should be able to answer this question. How long?
Gators live for forever.
So they're immortal, is what you're saying. Alligators never die.
They are pretty much
until
man intrudes on their territory and creates scarcity. Alligators and crocodiles would live.
I'm not talking about the alligator ecosystem. I'm talking about individual alligators. So that you're saying individual alligator.
I was just
throw a
dropping
dart, hit an
alligator
alligator.
science on you.
No, I felt like that's what you're doing, and I had to deflate that immediately. So you hit an alligator with a dart, and he's going to live forever. That particular alligator.
And you're also saying alligators do not have a digestive system, that he would have eventually shit Jimmy Hoffa out.
Yeah, it would be
Jimmy Hoffa's remains just remain in his belly
forever.
For all these years.
Forever.
So when you find that gator, you just cut him open, and you're like, oh shit, there's Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah.
Like that scene in Jaws, where they cut open the shark and the license plate falls out.
Exactly. Like, it's gonna be digested at some point.
Yeah, but in Todd's story, in Jaws, the sharks live forever.
Jimmy's a Detroiter. He's tough.
He is
He was
tough.
around for a long time.
Not tough enough.
He is tough.
That's
No. Well, if linoleum knife Larry was there.
Lenny,
Larry.
Lenny or
Exactly.
Yeah.
What a horrible nickname. Tongue
it's
twister
going to be
Larry.
it's going to be sitting in my head more than anything else we've talked about tonight. I'm going to go to tomorrow it'll be in my head. Linoleum knife Lenny.
You can't even say it.
No, it's
Linoleum
hard to
knife
say.
Lenny.
Larry.
Say it 3 times in a row, quick.
So now,
No,
Nina,
he'll appear.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Todd's never seen Beetlejuice.
and that's the last time I saw Bob.
You son of a bitch.
But his flooring looked fantastic.
Exactly.
It was all fixed by the
The
time.
cuts were amazing. They were so precise.
Pristine. So, but okay. So now, if it was your father-in-law that the FBI.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you cut out.
Yes.
Okay. So now, so if he was still around,
Yes, my father-in-law.
So if he was still around, that would be a topic that you would like to sit down with him and discuss.
Yes.
I'm sure she'd discuss it. I'm not sure if it'd be worthy of a podcast episode, but
No, I just out of my own.
I think we should talk to Mary's mom. I think we should talk to another person potentially connected with insights that we might not know. She might not even know it's important.
Well, we would have to vet her very well.
I think that's exactly what we're doing right now.
Well, I'm gonna first thing I talk to her, I'm gonna ask about Linoleum Life Larry. I can't even say it.
No, you can't. I heard
Linoleum
life.
Yeah. I know I can't do it.
I think
Nickname.
I think the litmus test, Todd, is if you do your homework and then you send it to Nina and you don't get an email back from her within 30 seconds saying, nope, there's nothing there. Then you know.
Gotcha. I'm on it.
Very quickly vet your whole process.
Yeah,
I'm on it.
agreed.
All right, so before we let you go, hopefully you can stick around for just a little bit. I wanted to end on that lighter note and walk through maybe 1 or 2 existential questions with you, if that's okay.
Sure.
Here we go. Theme music.
Oh, hit the button.
Copyright Todd Dillon.
Yes, indeed.
Existential. See, the beautiful part about this music, Corey, is that you can literally ask questions. We can get through like probably a couple of them before the song's even over.
It is a very long song.
It is. Yeah.
All right,
We're going down.
I think we're good there.
Yeah, we're good.
It's high quality. You don't rush a good thing along.
Right. Yeah, we don't want to rush that. All right, so this is a very scientific process in which I presented Corey with a couple of cards, and I fanned them out as you would a deck of cards, and I made him pick them blindly. So what do you got, Corey?
All right, so the first one is, what's something that is legal that you couldn't be paid enough to do?
Something that is legal that I couldn't be paid enough to do.
Correct.
That's it. I want to start with Todd Dillon on this because I feel like he's got some very specific, strong thoughts on this question.
I'm vacillating still, Bob. Vacillating, so don't start with me. Vacillating.
Nina, I apologize that this is going to be my answer. And I feel so bad saying this while you're on our podcast. But OnlyFans has become a big thing. And I don't.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
That's a great start, Corey.
I don't think I could
Oh
ever,
my goodness!
no matter how much money, be caught setting up my own OnlyFans.
Caught like
Not caught.
You're,
not,
like you're
not
doing
even
a
caught.
dark room and someone
Busted.
fixing lights, you're like,
Yeah. No,
Oh, my goodness.
just do.
Corey, the hole's getting deep.
yeah. Can you read the question one more time, please?
What's something that is legal that you couldn't be paid enough to do? And I'm going to say OnlyFans. No one wants to see that. I don't want to see it myself.
I'm going to say it's a good answer for you.
No, thanks.
For you, it's a good answer.
For me, it's a good answer.
For
Okay.
Corey, yeah.
Yeah. The shame I feel even with my wife, buddy.
It's a shame.
I'm like, why is she even looking at this?
I mean, that's a good question.
Yeah, I know. So that's my
It's a
answer.
question for the ages.
Nina, again, I apologize.
Oh,
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
This is a head
I'm
scratcher.
embarrassed for us.
So
Well-
I would not jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Also, a great answer.
I've said that in the past.
Yep.
I'm not. I'm not
And
there
now
anymore.
I'm super
though.
upset
I've
that
moved
she
on.
stole what for me would have been a great answer, but I can't steal that now.
Sorry. Yeah.
No. You do what you got to do. I could legitimately go door to door asking for spare bottles and cans, returnables
Okay, you've already done this.
for Big
so
Brothers Big Sisters, but I wouldn't do it today.
that does not qualify because you've already
It's
done
not
it. in the
legal.
Yeah,
past.
but it's been
It doesn't
30
exactly. You've already
35
done it.
years.
It's not legal.
It's been 35 years.
It's not legal either.
It is legal.
That's a crap answer, Bob.
Yeah. So Nina, to give you some background, what Bob just said is something that did actually occur back in his college days, and they would go around house to house and ask people.
We didn't have a lot of money. We were trying. It was bar night. It was a Thursday. How are we going to pay for beers? Embarrassed to say,
So
went
you
out
lied
into
about
the
Big
into the
Brothers Big
neighborhood
Sisters.
We did.
and said
We
we were with
did.
Big Brothers Big Sisters. Do you have any returnables to donate? And we drank like kings. But that was 30 plus years ago, and so today I would not do that. I feel like that qualifies.
Okay, nope, that does not qualify. So you'll have to come up with a different answer.
Okay.
Todd, do you have anything yet?
I do, and this is gonna hurt feelings.
Oh boy.
Even though it's legal to do, and there's no amount of money to make me go and watch third grade kids, boys or girls, play basketball. No, not enough money in the world. Horrible.
What? Hold on. What? Which? You, your answer is
It's very
it's
specific
legal
too.
to be a spectator at a third or fourth grade basketball game, but you don't want to
Yeah.
do it.
Ever.
Well, I guess that if Corey,
Considering you don't have
if
kids,
that
Todd,
qualifies, I mean that opens up to like an entire spectrum of shit that I could use to come up with my second answer.
Nina might be doing
Honestly, if you did want to do that,
yeah, how
I'd be
weird is
worried.
that? Yeah.
There you go. Exactly.
Well,
Turns out I'm A-okay.
that's I don't think that's how that works, Todd. But like I said, and Nina, especially considering he does not have children, that would make it like
Hey, but I got nieces and nephews, and people invite me to watch their kids do shit. I went and saw a kid play cricket once. That was something. Oh, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day.
What? What just happened?
I
I was with him until he brought up cricket, and then from there, I'm like, I don't know what direction we're going now.
oh, I just can't wait for
right.
Nina's episode of Todd Dillon and the Missing Child.
I do
All right.
cover Washington State sometimes.
Oh boy!
We kill plenty of people, and we get away with it for a long
Hold on.
time.
When you say we,
And our serial killers are particularly handsome too.
Well, then I guess you're not going to be part of that. But
yeah. I'm sure Todd's not a good character witness for your podcast.
all right, Bob, it's just you left.
Do I really just me? Okay. All right. I feel like there's a seed in Todd's answer of what I could use.
No, don't do that.
No, not copying the answer, but
No,
he
don't.
kind of blew apart the.
Why would you take any bit of what
But
he said?
you allowed his answer. Did you not?
Yeah, because it's weird enough we have to move past it.
Oh, so I just need to come up with
see
a
what I
weird
deal with
answer
every
that we
week,
have to move
Nina?
past.
This-
No.
These shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Oh my god.
You know, you could just answer like Malort.
Thank you. I don't even know what it is, but
Thanks.
say that, Bob.
Thank you. Yes, it is legal to buy Malort and to drink Malort, but I would never ever do it.
Nina, he's already done that.
See?
I never have.
I'm kidding.
My kid has, but that's another story. All right.
All right, last question.
Last one.
And then we're gonna. This will be it for the episode.
Okay.
What about you sounds made up but is true?
What about you sounds made up but is true?
If anyone has it, please feel free to go ahead.
Jump in.
I have something, but I'm not going to elaborate. Okay.
Oh, well, you're the guest, so yeah, we can't.
Wait a minute. You have something, or you have something, or you?
I have something to share,
Oh, okay.
but I'm not going to elaborate.
Oh,
I think that's a good rule for all of us in this question.
All right. Well, you are a guest. Yeah. We'll take it.
Okay. When I got married for the first time in 1994, the FBI was in the parking lot taking pictures.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay.
That is juicy.
Corey immediately threw in the towel.
And then she
on
says
that
no
one.
more questions either.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
goodness.
That's
my future father-in-law was one of the FBI agents that was taking pictures.
well, I assumed.
Can we guess on what
No. She said she's not going to elaborate.
She said she's not going to, but we can at least guess.
I'm not going to elaborate.
Well, you can guess, but she's not going to confirm that your guess was accurate or not.
I think it had to do with Hoffa.
Listen, read the story. Read the question one more time.
It actually kind of does.
See, oh,
She elaborated.
Thank you, Nina.
See, Bob.
Thank you, Nina.
You must be her favorite one of the three co-hosts. Read the question one more time.
All right, and Nina, that's all you had to say. I more than appreciate that. Thank you. But the question was for the other ones in the room. What about you sounds made up, but it's true?
I'm a
Set the
gainfully
bar
employed
kinda
black man who lives in a really nice house.
I might agree with that if you went on a podcast every weekend on the internet crowing about it. So I can't agree with that.
I went for low hanging fruit.
I've never stolen anything in my life,
Untrue.
but it sounds true. No, but it sounds true.
Yeah. But Corey, what's up with Bob tonight? He's not answering any of the questions.
I
mean,
am.
You know, I'm not normally a stickler for the rules, but
Read the
he's been a
question again.
scofflaw tonight.
What about you sounds made up, but is true? So that wouldn't apply.
But it's not true.
Yeah. How do you know?
Oh my god.
Is there something you witnessed me stealing?
Yeah, cans from people by
That's
telling
not
them you're
stealing.
giving it to
I
the
asked them for those cans. That's not
It is
stealing. No, it isn't.
It's.
I lied. That's not stealing.
It feels like it's stealing to me.
And now you're asking our very special guest to rule on the
I
question.
am, and she did. The gavel has landed.
Questionable.
Exactly.
It is.
That's fair. She also didn't
Questionable.
want to elaborate.
Tie goes to the guilty.
Well, that's me then. Sweet.
Exactly.
All right.
All I got for you guys is what about you sounds made up, but is true. Only way to get out of this one is that I always tell the truth.
It doesn't sound made up.
See, that doesn't make any sense either.
Yes, it does. Shut up.
You guys,
No one cares.
not only did you guys select a See, they rigged this, Nina. This is what happens every week on this show.
It's an
These two
existential
knuckleheads
question, Todd.
Rig it and then fall into the hole that they dug for someone else.
You can't rig an existential question. It's existential by definition.
Oh boy. I never told a lie, Corey. I'm surprised frickin' a bolt of lightning didn't just blow Bob's house. Exactly.
Oh, thank goodness there's no thunderstorms out here tonight. It's just snow.
Just snow.
Just
It'll
snow.
be thunder snow soon.
Yeah.
Just snow.
Until I walk
It's now
outside.
snowing so hard just over my house. It's crazy.
You guys should both thank God that Indy's in the house with you, or else that house would be a flaming ember.
Well, you know, gotta do what you gotta do, Todd.
All right, Nina, tell us what plans you've got for the All Gone podcast for the rest of for the upcoming 2026.
Well, I'm really excited because in January, I will be launching a re-release of my long-form series called Don't Talk to Strangers, which is about the Oakland County child killings, which has its 50th anniversary in February of 2026. So I'll be releasing that into my main feed. I remastered the original series and updated it, and we're still wondering why the Oakland County child killings remain unsolved after all this time and all this attention that cold cases are getting. Why is this case being ignored?
Excellent. And
Love it.
I understand you've got a book
That's
coming
awesome.
out
Hey, Nina,
in March of
I'm
next
going to throw
year.
it out there.
Hold on, Todd.
I do. My first book, Unsolved Michigan.
And is it available yet for pre-order on Amazon?
Yes, it is available on Amazon and on bookshop.org. Yes, you can
Excellent.
order Unsolved Michigan.
We will be doing that.
And Eddie's
I will
case is
get it.
featured in there.
I can't wait.
That's awesome.
Todd, your question.
Can't wait to get it. Well, less a question, but just to say, Nina, as you push into 2026, if you need somebody to speculate wildly or just point out who the killer is for these unsolved things,
Yeah,
give me a shout. I'm here.
absolutely.
I'm ready to help and give you that push. Because again, I know who did some of this stuff. I think.
Hold on,
Okay.
Todd. Did
We'll
you
talk.
feel
I like
you
it.
feel like her podcast episodes on the Already Gone podcast were great, but needed the rantings of a lunatic at the end to give their unsubstantiated or unrequested opinion? You thought that's what was missing?
I thought. So here's the thing. I love to cook, and so I'm going to use a cooking analogy. I
This is
actually
gonna go
loved every morsel of the episodes that I took in. Really, really did. Actually, I thought the way that you told the story about the guy at the Royal Oak post office, just the setup of just how a dude becomes an insane just person. But anyway, loved everything. But I love to add a little bit of the Todd Dillon spice to all the morsels that I enjoy. And so I'm just offering that up. If you want somebody to speculate around who likely is the person, you got a guy in your corner, ready and willing to jump in and help out at a moment's notice.
I appreciate that. We could do like a riff track episode.
Yeah, and you know what? We can hold it, and then when the cases do get solved, I can be there like going, "See, I told you." I told you it was Mara's boyfriend.
Absolutely.
I told you.
That's right.
This sounds like an award-winning idea.
Yeah, Nina, again, just let us know when you want us to mute him. I can mute just him and not you.
Actually, when we're
good.
mastering the episode, we could just cut him out completely.
Yeah. My God, Todd. My God.
I'm being repressed.
As always.
The man is keeping you down.
Always.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the theme of this show. 100%.
Nina, don't feed into his antics.
All right, Nina, thank you so much for being here with us. We have had a great time. You're a lovely guest, a fantastic podcast that you have, and we highly recommend for anybody listening or watching on YouTube or on podcast platforms, please go out and check out the Already Gone podcast. And while you're at it, just for the hell of it, especially because she's going to be bringing back her, oh my gosh, I've just blanked on the name of the show that you're going to be remastering and bringing.
Don't talk to strangers.
Don't talk to strangers. Go back
Don't
and search
talk to
search for
strangers.
Nina Innsted on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, and you will come up with those episodes and subscribe to that as well. Thank you, Nina. We had a great time.
Thank you.
Yes.
I
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
All right.
Thank you so
it.
much.
Thank you. Good night, y'all.
Good night. Peace out, everybody. We'll see you next weekend.